Hi everyone, okay, this is Alexander Beliavsky against Garry Kasparov, which was played in Moscow in 1981 and featured a brilliant exchange sacrifice from Kasparov, who then went on to win the game. So the game started d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop d7, e4, d6, f3. So we have the same-ish variation of the King's Indian defense. Castles, bishop e3, knight c6, queen d2, a6, all normal development moves really. Knight comes to the outpost, and then d takes c6, knight takes c6, knight d5, and here Kasparov plays b5, which is pretty incredible because it allows white to win the exchange, and afterwards black will still be left with a weak pawn on d6 here, a gaping hole on d5, and a bad bishop on g7. Yet despite this, concrete dynamic factors seem to give black just enough counterplay in whatever variation occurs, as we'll get into in a second. Beliavsky played bishop b6, and after queen d7, knight c7 came rook b8, knight takes e8, queen takes e8, and white's won the exchange. Here we played bishop e3, which is a big decision and allows black to win back a pawn and gain play in the center and along the b-file here, after the b-file is opened. Kasparov's analysis of the alternatives is a good survey of the opportunistic nature of black's position, based on the strength of the d4 square here, which is an outpost square now, and his lead in development. For example, if instead of bishop e3, bishop c7, then rook b7 is strong. After bishop takes d6, b takes c4, bishop a3, bishop e6, knight c3, rook d7, queen f2, bishop h6, rook d1, and knight d4. Black easily has a lot of compensation for sacrificing the exchange here. Another possibility, instead of bishop e3, was c5, and here rook b7 would be the right move. And after queen takes d6, bishop e6, knight c3, bishop f8, queen d2, rook d7, queen f2, and b4. Again, black's very active piece play is the d4 square, the open file for his rook, and white's lack of development, especially his rooks here. I mean, he's got two rooks against one, but look at them, they're completely out of the game. So again, black would have good compensation for having lost the exchange. A third possibility, instead of bishop e3, was c takes b5, and here a takes b5 is the right move, as opposed to rook takes b6, which is also good. But after b takes c6, d5, e takes d5, e4, black's doing pretty well. These passed pawns could present a serious problem though later in the game, and the other continuation with a takes b5 is leads to a better position for black. So after then bishop e3, d5, e takes d5, knight d4, knight c3, b4, knight e4, and knight takes d5. And here once again, look at black's knights are totally centralized, and these pieces will soon become active, whereas white is yet to castle, and black has all kinds of pressure and just a much better position. He's penetrated into white's half of the board, and he's easily got more than enough compensation for sacrificing the exchange. So anyway, after bishop e3 came b takes c4, knight c3, bishop e6, and bishop e2, which is actually at this point it's interesting to note, if white plays knight d5 here, which looks tempting because seemingly if black takes the knight, then when the pawn recaptures there'll be a fork on these two pieces. But after knight takes d5, e takes d5, e4, d takes c6, and queen takes c6, once again black has enough compensation for now being a full rook down, and it's going to be very difficult for white to defend this position. For example, this g2 pawn is going to fall immediately, and the king is still in the center, and white hasn't castled, and black just has all the pressure and all the initiative. So at the very least he's going to get the material back, and more than likely get a winning position resulting from this pressure. Anyway, After bishop b6 came bishop b2, then knight d4, utilizing the d4 square. And after castling d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, and bishop takes d5. And here Kasparov assessed the position as already better for black. The knight on d4 is a real thorn in white's side, but can't be exchanged without unleashing the power of black's bishops. In what follows, black very casually builds up his attack. So, rook f2, h5, rook c1, queen e6, bishop f1, h4, rook e1, queen c6, and like I said, you know, black is just gradually strengthening his center and bettering his position. Then bishop h6, bishop h8, and f4, which is a questionable move because now e4 is winning for black, according to Kasparov. And this is where, you know, when you judge the position in terms of material, of course white is doing better, but when you judge it in terms of position, which is much more important, black is dominating the game completely. So it wasn't too difficult for Kasparov after this. The game continued. Rook d1, bishop e6, f5, knight takes f5, queen f4, rook e8, rook fd2, queen c5 check, king h1, bishop e5, queen g5, king h7, rook d8, rook takes d8, rook takes d8, queen f2, rook d1, knight takes h6, queen takes e5, e3, queen c3, h3, and here the pressure is really starting to build up, and queen e1. If g takes h3, then it's mate in 2. It was bishop to d5 check, bishop g2, and queen takes g2. Or if bishop to d5 check, then rook takes d5, then queen takes f1 as mate. So after h3, queen e1, knight g4, and white resigned in this position. A possible continuation of how the game might have continued is, well, not with the queen taking, because then the knight recaptures with check and picks up the rook, and he's got 2 pieces against 1, and he's 2 pawns up. Well, actually no, he'll be 1 pawn up because this one will go, but that won't really matter, he'll have the extra piece and win easily. So a sample continuation would be rook c1, bishop d5, queen takes f2, e takes f2, rook d1, bishop e4, a3, knight e3. White's is completely tied down to defending here, he can't do anything. It's mate in 2 in fact. Rook d8, h takes g2 check, bishop takes g2, and then either bishop takes g2 mate or f1 queen and mate. So a brilliant game from Kasparov, and very instructive exchange sacrifice. I'll replay the game for you now, and I use a special function that Fritz has which shows the threatened squares in a game, and green means the square is threatened but it's well defended, yellow means it's defended and attacked equally, and red means it's attacked more times than it's defended. And it's very interesting to note here how after the exchange sacrifice all of the pressure and all of the play goes into white's half of the board. So here we go, replay game. And I recommend Fritz to anyone who doesn't have it. It's a great tool for analyzing games and analyzing positions, and you can download it for free. I'll leave a link in the comments box for this video to the page where you can download it, and you can get it there for free. And it's just a brilliant engine for analyzing games. You can get it to analyze all the way through your online games, and it'll show you mistakes or better continuations you could have made and give commentary, and it's just a great engine. So I'll leave a link for that anyway. And here Kasparov just has complete control of the center and all of the play, all of the pressure, and that's where Beliavsky resigned. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any comments or thoughts. Thanks very much.